What a week this has been. Celebration for many in this area because of the championship basketball game. This has been huge news around me, and I appreciate the win and enthusiasm. The famous words here are Rock Chalk Jayhawks. I pray the celebrations continue in the best way. It's difficult to capture all the news in one emotion. So it possibly is with every day. A few days prior to this huge basketball win, was a public moment of someone being caught in a very different emotion. I hope you're well on this weekly encouragement day. It's a privilege to come to you each week with this special encouragement. And I hope you will not be caught in the way a famous personality was caught this past week. But if you are, or if you have been, remember your advocate is Jesus. I appreciate very much when a gifted teacher and pastor, such as who shares today's weekly encouragement, can bring the truth of Scripture to life in interpreting through current events. So, do you remember a Bible story of a woman caught? It's enough said to explain that she was humiliated and with shame. What she had done was legal cause to stone her to death. Maybe you have experienced something that brings the image of so much shame that people are hurling stones in a less physical way. Please see the response of Jesus. In this story, religious people were condemning the woman caught in the act. They really were anticipating that Jesus would be caught because the woman in the story was simply bait. They wanted to catch Jesus in his response, and they were willing to use this woman for their satisfaction. But isn't it ironic that religious eyes can be unable to see the obvious? The response of Jesus, the one who had no sin, was to get down, to write in the dust. Now, I know I've heard it said that Jesus was probably writing the sins of the religious people who brought her to him to condemn her. I have a new perspective after hearing this message. I've always thought it didn't sound like Jesus to be writing sins and offenses. As pointed out by this gifted communicator, the story starts in Genesis. The story began by God playing in the dirt. As he began the story of forming man, wouldn't it seem appropriate that he continues the story by writing the story of a woman experiencing grace and forgiveness for the first time? I don't think Jesus was deconstructing as he was writing in the dirt. I think he was constructing new regenerative life like as man had never known before. Up to this point in history, the Jewish nation was under a different covenant based on law. In this moment, Jesus was becoming the new covenant based on grace. The ones who brought this caught woman to Jesus were given grace because they recognized in that moment that none of them were without guilt. Jesus knows the heart, and I believe it's possible he held the right, under the covenant based on law, to condemn those who stood around this woman. Instead, he was gracious to allow them to look at themselves and thereby refrain from throwing the first stone. Grace allows me to see myself. This week, there's been a lot of postulating. by me and others about a public example. I hope the story doesn't repeat itself. I also hope that I can learn from this, and that I can refrain from condemning others when I know my own hurtful ways. The religious people wanted to test Jesus, so they brought the woman caught in the act. Instead, Jesus knelt down and wrote a story of a covenant based on grace for this woman. I believe what he was writing in the dirt was the new covenant that was being created in this woman's life and for all who will examine their own hearts. I love you, and I am praying for you.